This video has actually been ready for 9 months and has been patiently waiting for me to save up for a laptop and eventually get the rest of it edited, because unfortunately, as the story goes, my old laptop was operating around the speed of a potato or, I don't know, turtle. And yeah, anyways, it's here now. And it's been 9 whole months, so I thought I'd do a quick update here in the now and just give an update on where we've been and what we've been up to. In case this is the first time you're seeing one of these videos, I'm Jess, and if you're here before, thank you for coming back. I hope you all enjoy watching. Last year in February 2024, we drove to Sweden with our Land Rovers in search for somewhere to live and to make a business. And so far we had found a couple of beautiful small holdings and countryside properties which seemed like the ideal dream. However, there was something amiss or something missing, and we eventually made our way to Dalsland, and in a beautiful town called Bengtsfors we came across a garage. And at first, being February and it was cold, we were a little bit hesitant, but anyways, we went ahead and booked a viewing and instantly fell in love with the place. It is a bit of a fixer-upper, however, we all love a challenge in this family, and it has such a good automotive history, and for us, being we all have quite creative backgrounds, we could definitely see the future for this thing. And also, we all love Land Rovers. So the idea we have initially is to make this a sort of safe haven or a destination point. Oh, that's my dryer. I'm just going to go turn that off. So yes, the idea we have is the initial idea is to have a kind of safe haven and destination point for 4x4 overland camping, outdoor, car, motorcycle, anyone who kind of fits in that massive sphere of hobbies and interests. We kind of want to make this place for you. The property itself consists of the garage, which is the oldest part of the whole thing, with an apartment above it, which myself and my husband Lawrence will be also renovating and living in. Then we have the showroom, which came around, I believe, the late 70s or early 80s, but I could be mistaken. The showroom itself was decided from the previous owners, Erik Larsen and his family, also was a previous family-run business. But they decided that they wanted to primarily start selling Ford vehicles. So hence the colour of the showroom, and it's also a little bit more modern on the inside compared to the rest of the buildings. But in that being said, there's not much difference between them. Everything flows quite well. And also around the back there is a huge polytunnel, which was additional storage for other vehicles, and that is also in Ford Blue. But you'll see all this in the future in other videos, and I do plan on making other parts to show arounds, because there is more to the property than just the showroom and the garage. However, this is the part that we're, I think, most excited about, because there's just so much to do, and this is what we want to present to people and to offer people this place, this destination. That is then, and where are we at the moment? It's been 9 months. Last year in June 2024, we had a lot to celebrate, finally becoming the official homeowners of the property. So we packed up our suitcases, the dogs, and the whole family, and the Land Rovers, and we drove back to Bengtsfors for the first time since purchasing it. Yeah, we spent 3 months clearing out, emptying, getting rid of a lot of stuff, also making an inventory of things we can reuse. The place came with a lot of wood and building supplies and scaffolding, and it's become incredibly useful for future painting of the buildings, also inside. It also is probably going to be one of those projects that's never quite finished, but we also don't mind that. It always is nice to have a challenge. So in August, on that same trip, me and Lawrence have a day in the garden spent just enjoying the sun. We've got the dogs with us, and he disappears for a moment and comes back with my engagement ring and asks me to marry him. So fast forward to about last week, we got married, and it was the most perfect day with just a couple of family members. Lawrence's parents just made everything so possible for us, and I couldn't be more grateful just to have them and have all the support and love around us. It was such a beautiful day, and I also wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone else who made it possible. There were a lot of surprises during before the ceremony. On our way to the chapel, we actually were surprised by a fleet of Land Rovers that was put together by good friends of ours, Michelle and Vero from Landy Works. They actually managed to arrange with friends a lovely fleet of different Land Rovers. There was a new Defender, there was a Discovery 3 and a couple of series Land Rovers and new old Defenders. So it was really perfect. We also had a fantastic photo shoot with Andreas Talark, who is an amazing photographer, so talented. He took a really cool photograph of Max Verstappen recently, and he actually reused the technique for one of our wedding photos, which it was just so cool. It's definitely the photo that we're going to have printed in a big frame in the showroom somewhere when we're in Sweden. It's our favourite. And it was difficult to pick because there are a lot of favourites, but that was definitely one of them. We just arrived back from our honeymoon about 2 or 3 days ago, and we're now back to kind of working on our businesses, Lawrence with Smetworks, myself with Cars and Crayons, which will also be coming with us to Sweden and being a part of this bigger venture. And we also have a lot to pack physically as well, not just our businesses, but as you can see behind me, I've got a whole studio to get over there. Lawrence has got a lot of Land Rover parts to get over there, and we've got a lot of Land Rovers to also get over there. So we're going to have a huge busy few months ahead of us. So yeah, it's been quite an exciting year so far, and it's come up with a lot of ups, but it's also come with a few downs. One of those major ones being my 12-year-old brother James. He actually contracted autoimmune encephalitis. We're really proud of him. I'm really proud of him, and his new brother-in-law is extremely proud of him, and he can't wait to give him a big hug. He's just come through so much in these past 3 months and has shown immense strength, as has the whole family, especially my little brother Caden, or older brother Caden, who has suddenly become an adult overnight, and wow, he's just fantastic, and no matter what he does or what he says, he's always making us smile. So if you two are watching this, we just want you to know that we love you so much, and we can't wait to see you. This video is for you two, really, just to show you what there is to look forward to and what's waiting for you, and as is for the whole family on both sides. And once we're there and settled, we'll be hosting a party for a bit of a post-celebration of the wedding, and also celebrating our new home, business, and showing everyone what there is here. So I think that's enough of me talking now. I'm going to show the show around, and I hope you enjoy it, and who knows, maybe we'll see you there in the future. So let's jump right into it. Here we have the old reception for the garage. Towards the last years, the garage operated sort of separately from the showroom, and it got its own entrance at the side for customers. Almost everything remains the same, including the circuit board, which supplies electricity to the whole building, and right now we aren't going to update or fix something that already works perfectly as it is. We've questioned whether to keep the reception area as it is, but since the garage will be used for personal use, there's not much reason to keep the reception as it is, other than it looks really cool. However, we are hoping to rebuild the wall where the counter is and have a sort of bigger hallway up to our apartment. This also leaves a little bit of room to play around with making a bigger room, which I'll show you next. On a quick side note, a lot of the fixtures and most items are already being reused, and we want to store as much as possible in case it becomes useful to us or someone else in the future. This small room that you see now is probably the old break room, which is located behind the reception, and that is what I meant before by being able to expand the reception area and making it a larger space. But in order to do that, that would involve taking this wall that the kitchen is against completely out. The room also came with its own weaving machine, which we already would like to rehome for someone else. I would love to figure out how to use it myself, but I can't even knit a hat without a questionable nubbin on top, so this is way beyond my skills. Now we're going down to the ground floor. This first room with the pebble floor is perfect to be our shop and already has a good front window, although sadly the glass is cracked and will need replacing. What's nice is that the entrance divides the showroom and the shop. The showroom was built after the shop in the 60s, while the garage and the shop building were more around the 30s or 40s, I think. We've actually met the first owners who built the showroom, Erik and Anne-Marie Larsen, who inherited the business from Anne-Marie's father, who was in fact the founder, Harry Hansen. All these people have a very significant part in the life and soul of the property's history, and you'll be hearing their names come up quite often. Anyways, at the back of the future shop, there's a very old built-in safe with a really heavy door, and I think we have the key somewhere, but just in case, it has lights and a heater. And Lawrence has come to check that I haven't got myself stuck in there. This little room here is in the centre of the building, which is quite fitting as this is the heart of the building that keeps everything running, such as the water, electrics and all the mains. However, this has seen better days and hasn't really been well maintained, so everything's going to have to come out and be renewed eventually. The water on the floor is from a burst pipe here, and I will try to highlight the hole from said pipe. This has resulted from years of neglect combined with very cold winters. But since this is such a huge project, we don't want to jump in right away without having some proper professional help and some advice on how to approach this room. Past the front doors, we now go into the showroom. This huge space was built officially for Ford and hasn't seen much change since it opened in the early 60s. And this is the room that was built by both Erik and Anne-Marie Larsen, along with their father Harry Hansen, to expand the business back when it was still a dealership. At the moment, it's storing a lot of things that we have taken out of the building that are going to be either put into storage or up for Lopis in the future. This rather dark concrete room is situated beneath the garage, and I think it's underneath the paint room to be exact. This space in particular is interesting because it links also to the mechanics pit via this small hatch, and it also explains why this castrol barrel is here. This next room is a lot of fun. It was originally the storing for all Harry Hansen's parts for the customers that they ordered, and in fact, Hansen began his business with only motorcycles and later expanded to cars. And we hope to one day see these shelves full again with Land Rover parts, and who knows what else. We are huge advocates for all things old and vintage, so it was a delight to find this old Husqvarna industrial sewing machine, accompanied by an assortment of tools, including these barber bobbins, something I didn't know existed, and they even have that old wax jacket smell. If you also love the Fallout games, then this room is for you. It honestly looks like a little yellow time capsule that came straight out of Vault-Tec, especially with this beautiful Electrolux fridge made in Sweden. Sadly, there's no Sugar Bomb cereal in here, but I definitely want to be keeping this and hopefully endorse it into my future studio. A little bit like Fallout, we do have some reminders of the past of this building right here in this cupboard, and again we definitely plan on keeping and using these also. And again we definitely plan on keeping and using these also. Even the original tannoy system is still in place, which judging from the cluster of wires might not work, but maybe on a day when there's not much else to do, we'd love to try and get this fixed and see if it still works. If we go back up the stairs to the reception room where we first started, we come around to the right and we're met by the garage and the workshops. At the moment, the garage is doing a good job at storing a whole lifetime of business archives found and saved by Lawrence's dad. They somehow survived years of being stored in the roof of one of the garden sheds, along with Harry Hansen's first sign back when he was still working from his garage at home. Thanks to Erik, Harry's son-in-law, he was able to share a lot of the memories, putting pieces together of this place, and he definitely recognised a lot of footwork. However, he did say that he never saw this sign before. But judging from all this paperwork and all the records kept, it's easy to see how Mr. Hansen's business was one of the biggest parts dealers and traders in Sweden at the time. A few pieces of machinery from Harry and Erik's time here also remains. This includes a manual drill and what looks like a sanding or grinding machine. These are all just a few parts of why we completely fell in love with the garage, and not even from a business angle but for our own hobbies. It offers room to store vehicles, most of the time fixing them, and maybe offering collaborations in the paint room between myself and Lawrence in the future. The paint room is one of my favourite places, and I can't wait to try and use it. However, there is still a lot to clear out, including a massive jacuzzi, also from the owners previous from us. It's a very cool room and I absolutely love the lights. It's seen a lot of use but remains in good working order, and I'd love to know what these patches of colour are on the wall. Maybe testing spray cans or colour swatches. When we first saw this room, our jaws dropped to the floor. We have a mechanic's pit or a service pit, which will be a saviour when looking for leaks under our Land Rovers. One thing we absolutely love, although it looks in disuse now, is an old Castrol tap distributing GTX Protection Plus, and also a Formula RS, which looks to have been converted to Shell at some point, as written above. And both of these I think would have been used on either older vehicles around the same age as our own, or vehicles that work very hard, or vehicles that have to, I don't know, have cold starts, or what engines are under a lot of stress and work. This would explain also the massive Castrol tank behind the little latch that we saw earlier. The pit itself actually makes me a little bit nervous. Silly, I know, but there's not even a car above it yet. But I didn't spend much time down there. However, it's probably not looked much different to the last day it was used. While it was a garage, even the drip tray moves around nicely. But boy, did this room get used. Behind the yellow board is the latch, which we saw earlier, and behind that is the Castrol tin. I'm not sure what this was used for, but perhaps it was an emergency exit or an easy access to oil leads. We're quite spoilt here, as next door there is another paint room that currently stores the former sign of the garage that is for passing cars across the road. We have plans to wrap this as soon as we find someone who can do that. Hopefully there is a guy locally we can go to, but for now we are just keeping it in storage like many other things. Anyways, that is the walk around of the garage. Part 2 will be the apartment, I think, where we live above the garage, and I'll show you a little bit of what we have done to that. Mostly, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.